Look at the sheer violence of a wildfire tearing through a dry forest. Compare that to the exact, steady rhythm of a human heart. We tend to use the words heat and fire interchangeably. In both astrophysics and classical physiology, they represent different states. Heat is raw, diffuse, and directionless. If you trap that unprocessed raw heat inside a closed system like a human body, it acts as an aggressive stimulus. It causes agitation, it depletes moisture, and forces a swift burnout. This diagram outlines how nature manages that threat through a 5-step thermodynamic algorithm. Chaotic particles of raw heat enter on the left, pass through 5 distinct nodes of filtration: earth, metal, water, wood, and fire, and exit on the right as a single stable pulse. Biological vitality emerges as an engineered state of containment, obeying the same physical laws that organize the cosmos. The cosmos and the human body begin with a massive injection of raw heat. We see this in the radiation of a solar flare. Inside the body, it takes the form of internal metabolic warmth, historically defined as ministerial heat. To make that raw input usable, it must be filtered. The planet Earth achieves this through rotation. By revolving in a steady rhythm, Earth absorbs chaotic solar radiation and imposes a cyclical pattern onto it. This split-screen diagram illustrates how our internal anatomy mirrors that planetary function. On the right, the spleen and stomach network acts as the body's internal Earth. It absorbs raw dietary and metabolic heat and organizes those particles into smooth lines of usable energy, or qi. If that digestive rhythm falters, the heat cannot be processed. It stagnates, transforming from potential fuel into a pathological force that damages the system. Whether observing a rotating planet or a human digestive tract, Earth is the mandatory first filter. Even after that initial transformation, the newly refined energy remains volatile. Without strict physical boundaries, it will scatter or violently flare upward. The system requires a containment grid. In cosmology, this is the role of metal. Metal represents atmospheric pressure, establishing a boundary that regulates circulation and forces rising heat to begin its descent. Here, the atmosphere's downward pressure is replicated by human lungs. The lungs physically expand, pushing refined energy downward to prevent heat from escaping. Once pushed down, this energy must be anchored. Deep planetary oceans act as a heat sink, absorbing descending energy to stabilize temperatures. Inside the body, the kidneys serve the same purpose. They provide a cool reservoir that catches descending energy, forming a dense biological reserve called Jing. By rooting the energy in the lower abdomen, the kidneys ensure the internal heat remains sustainable. Metal provides order. Water provides endurance. Without this dual containment grid pushing down and anchoring deep, systemic energy will flare out of control or collapse. Once the energy is regulated and stored, the system needs to pull that dense, cool reserve back up against gravity so it can be utilized. Nature solves this upward distribution through wood. We see it in trees pulling water and nutrients from the soil up into the canopy. Inside our anatomy, the liver performs this transport function, gathering refined energy and ensuring its steady ascent. Fire finally emerges only after this sequence of filtration, pressure, cooling, and lifting is complete. In this completed circuit, the processed fuel travels from the liver to the center of the chest. The heart receives this energy, allowing it to maintain a biological rhythm, support consciousness, and act as the sovereign commander of the entire organism. True fire arrives as a stabilized functional state, the end product of a coordinated assembly line. This thermodynamic pathway dictates how we manage human illness and physical exhaustion. If a patient presents with internal agitation or a fever, simply trying to extinguish that heat fails if the underlying containment system, the lungs and kidneys, is broken. Likewise, trying to boost energy without first ensuring a strong water anchor in the kidneys is dangerous. You are feeding fuel into a system that cannot contain it, which leads to systemic burnout. Even supporting digestion will cause problems if the lungs aren't setting boundaries.
Without that downward pressure, newly created energy scatters into the chest and head, causing anxiety instead of vitality. Classical medical theory operates on a strict sequence for building vitality. You must contain the heat, regulate its flow, store it deeply, lift it smoothly, and only then command the body. The entire framework distills down to a single principle: fire is not given, it is formed. These parallels suggest that cosmology and human physiology operate through the same thermodynamic intelligence. Whether in the rotation of a planet or the rhythm of a heart, the sequence of transformation, from raw heat to functional fire, remains constant across all scales. The thermodynamic engine that structures the universe operates step by step inside the human body to sustain life.